Hello, Soul Divers. 23rd is here tomorrow, and this is the final day of class guides for Ni no Kunai Crossworlds Redive. If you've watched all my previous videos yesterday or the day before, you might see some similarities, so skip ahead if you've already watched it before. So today we'll be talking about the final class in Ni no Kunai, Swordsman. If you know how, it's my boy. So what should a free-to-play swordsman focus on? Well, swordsmen, unlike the other classes that heal or debuff, swordsmen are more of a buffer class with AoE aura zones. They are on the same tier as engineers in terms of support, slightly below rogue and witch, but are still very useful in having a 4-buff party to a whale. Now, the skills swordsmen use as support are defensive field, giving 20% attack speed, and move speed, while also giving a 50% defense and CC resist rate, but it's only 70% applied to party members, but still very strong. Cypher Lunge is a weaker version of the Witch's armor, Crush Armor, or Decaying Touch. Arcane Barrier pretty much says itself, reduces damage taken by up to 40%. And finally, Vital Spark, which increases the party's HP by 20% for 15 seconds. While it may not be a huge DPS increase to the party, they are still very useful in raids where whales struggle to survive. While also having passive skills such as Enhanced Defense that increases party's defense by another 20% and 10% reduced damage reduction. Class has got it all. Now, in terms of free-to-play leveling and gearing, swordsmen can get away with just focusing on one element, so they are pretty strong at the start of the game, and the element they like to focus on generally is the light element, due to Unleashed Blade being the core gameplay, making swordsman's attacks ranged and dealing light damage. Honestly, it's one of my favourite skills in the game. Swordsman is the only class in the game where the base spec can outperform its Awakening version in terms of leveling and farming. Now, if you've already watched my Rogue video and other class videos, you can skip the next session as it's just a repetition of gearing. Now, in the early game, you want to be focusing on one element as well. Now, Swordsman is the only one where instead of choosing an RGB, I would say go for light. Mainly reason because of Unleashed Blades. Now, you still have to use the 3 familiars for leveling, that is Cactinine Petal and Acorn Squasher, but you also can go for the light familiars, which is Sap Dragon, Sleepyhead, Aurora Lynx. When gearing, just like before, you want to focus on 3 specific weapons, 2 being an element of your choice, which in this case is going to be Light Weapon and Kronos. And this means you can also go for the red weapon. Now, this is the only class where it has a slightly different weapon setup. Now, for armor, the most common gloves in leveling is the Zest gloves, as they give 20% extra experience while farming, while the Wisp gives attack speed on skills. Now, the most used helmet is the Immortal helmet due to its resists knockdown of stuns and suppressions, making it a DPS increase. But also Saintly Circuit is a good backup. Now, finally, chests, as before, there are 4 types, mainly Palladium, Raider, and Celestial Armor for the PvE, and Imperial for the PvP. Now, I'll link up above what each one is used for, so you know which ones to go for in certain situations. Finally, boots is a no-brainer. You go for flash shoes. Flash shoes is just great across the board. Now, accessories are all decided by the element of choice. However, I will link the pairings above for each considered element and combination. You want to be using these in each of your gear sets for each element. Now, finally, in Korea version of Ni no Kunai, they have specific banners for certain familiars, and Ni no Kunai has a generous pity system of around 5% for pulling a 4-star rare. Now, most players will save familiar tickets for their banner of choice. Now, for Swordsman, like I said, light familiars will be your go-to element. And if not, save for support style familiars that are most useful, mainly Sleepyhead and Pom Pom being your 2 biggest due to light, also Bunny Stabbit and Squat Pot. For leveling, just like before, being in parties is the fastest XP buff. Having parties across, having just general party buffs in the same channel, You can see how I'm trying to read this stuff all together. Anyway, if you have people in the same zone as you, party buffs work across the channel. So you can be farming in the bottom of one zone, they can be farming at the top, but you'll still get their buff. And finally, the best 3 skills to use as a DPS is 3 elements. And of course, being light user, you want to focus on the 3 light ones. And Unleash Blade. Unleash Blade is your go-to. Hopefully, with all this information, you are set and ready to step into the new world of Ni no Kunai Redive tomorrow. I'll be streaming on twitch.tv/Hyperior for the duration of the opening day if you need more tips. See you around, Soul Divers.